Good morning, my dear students. I hope you all are keeping safe and healthy and you all are taking the important precautions of the COVID 19 virus. My name is Abha, and today I am here to share a story about a garden. The name of the story is The Selfish Giant. So, once upon a time, there was a beautiful garden which not only had lively trees but flowers that smelled really pleasant. And the birds, they flew all day in that garden and sang the most sweetest songs. That was not all. There were children who played in the garden every afternoon when they came back from school, and they spent more time during their holidays. They had the most delicious fruits, they swung in the trees, they heard the birds singing. It used to be so pleasant that they would actually stop playing and listen to the birds and their songs. And they would wonder and talk that whose garden was it? Whom did it belong to? And they wished that that person never ever came back. Well, that was only their wish, which came to an end after a few days. A taxi stopped and somebody came out of the taxi. He started walking with big steps which made a sound like huge stones. He was walking with his heavy feet with a loud thud. It was so loud and strong that the children actually felt they were being lifted from the ground. He entered inside the garden and he saw the kids playing in the garden. He was furious and he shouted, "Get out of my garden! Who are you? Get out right now!" The children got scared and they all climbed the wall and ran away. Indeed, he was the giant and he was very, very angry. He did not want anybody to visit his garden. And then he built up a huge wall around his garden and he put up a big board which said, "Trespassers will be punished." He locked the gate every day and made sure that nobody entered his garden. Meanwhile, the children missed the garden a lot. Every afternoon when they came back from school, they would talk among themselves and say, "I so miss the garden. I wish we could go back to it and see the beautiful flowers and eat the delicious fruits." Well, but then after a few days, spring came back and flowers bloomed and blossomed all across the village. It was so beautiful. The entire city was colored with different flowers and fruits, and birds were singing everywhere. But something strange happened to the giant's garden. The spring did not visit there. Well, the tree said, "I don't feel like dressing up with fresh leaves today." The flower said, "Even I don't feel like coming out of the ground and blooming without the kids." The bird said, "Who should I sing for in this empty garden?" The only ones who were happy were the snow and frost. They had the whole garden to themselves and they considered themselves the masters of the garden. It was now known as the frozen garden. The snow had painted everything white, and the frost had made the leaves silver. And the wind, the north wind, it roared and roared the entire day and night. It roared and blew the chimney pots. And one day it had an idea, "Let's invite hail." And then in came hail with its chilly breath and silver color. It roared and rattled on the roof until most of the slates were broken. They were having a gala time. The giant kept inside the house. He did not come out. And he kept on thinking, what was wrong? Why was spring not visiting his garden? After Some days he noticed that a small little bird was singing a song. He got up from his bed and went to his window. He said, "Has spring finally arrived?" There was a small tiny bird who was singing, and there was a smile on Giant's face, because when he went to the window, he saw a beautiful sight. A few kids had entered the garden through a small hole inside the wall. There was a child sitting on every tree. The trees were so happy that they dressed themselves with fresh green leaves. The birds came back singing. There were fruits on every tree. The flowers bloomed and blossomed. The giant went downstairs and opened the door. He saw this. He saw everything. The beautiful sight, the picture. And it made his heart happy. He said, "Oh no, I'm really guilty for what I have done. I think that this garden belongs to the children." But in the corner of the garden, there was still winter. There was a tiny little boy who was not able to climb the tree and sit on it. The tree tried its best to bend down and make the child climb, but it did not help. The giant decided to go near the boy and help him, and he started walking, thump, 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 towards the garden. As soon as the kids saw the giant, they became so scared that they all ran away. Unlike the little boy, he started crying, and because of his tears, his eyes filled with tears. He could not see the giant. The giant gently picked him up and put him on the tree. When the kids noticed this, they all came running back and they hugged the giant. They knew that he was generous and kind. The giant was touched, and he started to cry too. From that day onwards, the giant played with the children every day, and they enjoyed themselves inside the garden. But after a few months, the giant started to become old and weak. So then he tried to stay inside, and he used to look at the children from the window. He was happy. But that little kid, he was missing. He did not return to the gardens in so many days. The giant asked the children about him, and they had no clue either. Then one morning, when the giant was getting dressed, he saw the little tiny boy, yes, the same one who was the giant's favorite, standing in the same corner of the garden with the tree. And the tree had silver fruits on it. It looked beautiful. The giant went near to the boy. The boy held his hand, and he said, "Hello, Mr. Giant. I am here to take you to the Garden of Paradise." The giant was amazed, and he hugged the boy. That afternoon, when the kids came back from the school, they saw that the giant was lying down under the same tree, and he was covered with white flowers. The giant was dead. But the children always continued coming to the garden and play. And from that day onwards, it became a play space and a playground for all the kids of the village. The birds kept singing, the flowers kept blooming, and the fruits kept on growing in the garden all throughout the year. Indeed, it was a wonderful and magical garden. Thank you so much.